Yeah, the call of wild's always bringing me home. Call of wild's always bringing me home. Call of wild's always bringing me home.
Hello, wild ones, and welcome to another episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. I am so excited to have Emily Gemignani. Okay, perfect. Animal communicator, and plant communicator, spirit communicator. I'm so excited to have you here with me today. Thank you.
For having me. I've been excited for this after we did our session and got to know you a little bit.
Yeah, that was very powerful for me. So for people listening right now, Emily was really kind enough to do a mini session for me, and she connected with me with my beautiful horse Raphael, and there was a lot of things that needed to be cleared up between us. So I am so thankful that you were able to help and facilitate that for us.
Yeah, he's a special guy. It's always nice on my end too to get to like connect with all these different special animals.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, I figure we'll probably jump back into that a little bit more, but just I would love to start off with how you got into, oh, sorry, that's my dog. Should probably see somebody blowing leaves or something on the neighbor's yard. But tell me how you got started with communicating or like in this space.
So as a kid, I was always really intuitive. Like I would have mediumship moments, but they weren't often. They were kind of rare and I didn't know what to do with it. I always have kind of felt like really connected, but I never had a roadmap to get there.
Right.
And life gets busy and chaotic and you can get stuck in, real world stuff pretty easily. I
Yeah.
was, and I came across Alex, Pet Talk with Alex's feed, and
Mhm.
saw a video of her talking about animal communication. I look at it, I'm like, what? That's a thing? And so immediately I go to her page and I like do a deep dive and look at every single video she's ever posted, which have never done before. And immediately it was just like, I am doing this. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to do it right now. And I went and told my husband, and it was like more money than I spend on a whim. I was like, I'm doing this now. I have to do this. And so I took her first course and then her second course. And I'm probably like 6 deep at this point. I think I have taken everything she has to offer. And so it started with animal communication for me. And that's what I'm doing, like paid sessions for people. That's my work side of it. And then kind of my experimenting, having fun play side. I do mediumship or talking with trees or other dimensional beings. I have some ET friends. It opened a can of worms in the best way. Honestly, the way I view it is I had gotten really disconnected from my higher mind, my intuition, my higher self, and it reconnected me to that. And now I feel like fully connected to the world all around me all day long. Like I'm never alone. I always, can call in guides, or you're on a hike and you can feel the layers of energy and the plants and the animals and the land. And so it's just like become a whole different way to walk through life.
Yeah, I really resonate with that because I feel like, a couple of years ago, I feel like there would be like this on and off pull for my spirituality. And I felt like anytime I was really disconnected from my spirituality, I definitely didn't feel like myself. So I can totally relate to, finding your path and then being so connected to it. And then just the added aspect of like you being able to actually communicate and talk with all of the beings around you, I think is just extra connecting. I love that.
Yeah, I was the same way before my kind of spiritual journey. It feels very disconnecting and you're not grounded. And now I can't imagine like going backwards. I don't think you can. I don't think you can,
No.
put the water back in at this point. But
Yeah, absolutely. What was the first animal that you had like a really good, successful communication with?
oh, I love that question. It was in class, which was 8-week class, and we were on week 6. And Kayla had done like an extra practice session with her horse Blue, who had
Mhm.
over. And it was the first one that, and I just sent her feedback, and she sent me a voice memo saying what was accurate and all the things. And there was like a large amount that was very, very correct. And I remember just sitting there listening to it, being like, oh my gosh, I did it. There's no way I would have gotten all that information. Like, I couldn't have known that. And that
Right.
was when it, like, clicked in, like, I'm doing this, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so cool. I love that. So basically you guys were in class together and you guys connected with each other's animals to kind of help. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, really, like, it's an awesome community over there. I'm in touch with so many of the people from that community still. And yeah, you'll do trade sessions, you'll talk to each other's animals, give them feedback. That's really, I feel like, what makes you feel like it's real is you'll get somebody telling you like, oh, that's spot on. You're like, what?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then like I wanted you to give a little bit of a background before we started talking about my session. But I got to see him. I wasn't able to get up as quickly after the session as I wanted to with life getting in the way, but it made me feel better since we had our session. For people, I guess, listening to give them a little bit more context, my horse Raphael, he's really old right now. He's like 20 something. He's 17 and a half tall, hand tall, quarter horse paint, named Raphael. I call him Raph for short. But he has really bad arthritis and leg issues and things. That I can't ride him anymore, but I love to go up and just spend time with him. And since I have my son, it's definitely harder to get up there as often as I'd like, and I feel a lot of guilt about it. So Emily was really kind to be able to facilitate this communication between us, and it really opened it up. And like I was crying, it made me feel so healed because that's definitely a very sore spot in my heart that he's like my baby and that I can't get up there as often as I'd like. And um that was very healing, I think, for both me and my horse to be able to know that we're both thinking and loving each other. And yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's interesting because as humans, we have our perspective about the situation. And when you let them open up the floor, lots of times there's some misunderstanding. They might blame themselves for the way something's happening. And you tell them, no, it has nothing to do with the way you are. And then he kind of came forward and was like, oh, I can be of assistance and like give her space to do what she needs to do when she's busy. So they both came together and just held space for each other and had an understanding. He's like, you don't have to come out and do all the things. Just come see
Right.
me. Like, just let's spend time together. And it's really cool to be able to go back and forth and see how this story kind of unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also feel like with him it was really great because he was like, oh well, um like, my body's not as strong and as good as it used to be, like what use can I be? And like I feel like I was crying even harder than I was like, just you being you. I'm like so grateful that, like, he is an older horse and he's still around, and just to like try to make him as comfortable as possible. And I think we both alleviated a lot of like sadness in our hearts from like each, and just were able to bridge that understanding, which I'm so grateful to you for too.
And two, he talked about other things that he can lean into now, like his energetics and
Yeah.
um, in that way, and just kind of building his confidence, being like, yeah, we see you. That does matter. That's important. Just lean into that, even if your body's not what it used to be.
Yeah, I think that the thing that we connected with most is that he's really leaning into his energetic fields. And to also give some more context is that Raphael is also the archangel of healing. So especially when I was younger too, I would always make sure I would bring like kind of like maroon or purple colors, because that's always like associated with Raphael. And like I feel like purple's such like a beautiful healing color too. and then like just through your channeling work and us talking and communicating together, he was able to come forward and just be like, oh, I can just be in that healing space and like help to heal, because horses are just such healing creatures, beings, animals. They're so beautiful and calming. And even when I was younger, I used to volunteer at a place called Horseability, where it would pair mentally disabled people with horses. And I just saw so much beautiful work that happened there. And it just goes to show how beautiful and connective, and just healing horses are, especially.
Yeah, for sure. I was on a trail ride kind of recently, and I always try and facilitate. I'm like, what can I do for you? What can I channel for you? Sometimes they have me channel energy from different places. Um, and I was kind of in need of some help myself. It was three horses, and they all knew it, and they all like, it's your turn today. So I'm sitting up here on this trail ride, and they're like trancing me out, and they're just doing so much energy work on me. I was like, okay, thanks, guys. I'm just along for the ride today.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, that, and they're just very caring, they really give themselves over, um, which I love. Yeah. um, what, what kind of, so how many different types of animals have you communicated with?
A lot, and I'm always super excited to try any new species because there's definitely a vibe. Most
Yeah.
of my cats, dogs. Dogs number one. Dogs have a certain vibe. They're all very different, but you'll like kind of have the same questions pop up. There's themes. Cats, they're so otherworldly. Like
Mm,
they
yeah.
have I have a repeat client that's a hedgehog owner, a hedgehog, and
It's awesome.
he's one of my favorite. He's so hilarious. We'll pop on the call and he literally just ticks off like exactly what he needs. He's like, I want this, I want this. He wasn't liking his bath, and so mom was like, hey, he's just fighting to get out of the sink constantly. What can I do? He goes, okay, the lights are too bright, dim the lights. I'm flipping in the sink, put something in the sink I can grip onto. He had like a specific smell he wanted in here. So it ended up being this whole
Okay. Yeah.
spa. And then she took a photo that night with him in it with all the things he asked for, and he's just like chilling. And she's like, he's never stayed in here without trying to escape. And he's just so
Wow.
all the needs, like he knows what he wants. I have koi fish, so I talk to my koi fish. I actually have a good friend of mine's dog had passed away, and so I was connecting with that dog who's reincarnated as a dolphin, and so I have like a dolphin contact who I will check in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Lizards, birds. Yeah, honestly, like I'll talk to the ants. I have a spider in my window that I'm like, nobody kill this spider. This is my buddy.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And just like, I don't know, I feel like there's also this way of connecting that brings this, like, you're just getting rid of fear because you're able to just talk. And I think it's really cool to get validations like your little hedgehog friend being able to be comfortable in his spa like bath. Which is awesome. Yeah. It's cool that all the animals kind of have a different essence, because I was going to ask you like how you can kind of tell or make sure that animal or being is coming through, like how you recognize each one.
The way I always start off, like my protocol is I get a photo of the animal I'm connecting with, and that's how I just know I'm on the right line. And
Yeah.
then I always do my calls live. So I have the owner, I'm like, I start with what their personality feels like me, and I say it to the owner, like, oh, they feel either really calm and cool or whatever it is. And they're all like, yep, that's them. So it's just kind of a little like, okay, we're good. But I've done it enough now that I just kind of trust my method.
Yeah.
That for anything, if you set the intention, that's really all it takes. So the intention to connect with that animal. And sometimes I'll be in session and a past loved one will come through, or another animal or being will come through. So it's not as by the books, like I have to see the photo for them to come through. That's just more how I make it easy on myself to make sure I'm on the right line.
Yeah, that's like your system of like, because I'm sure every person has their own way of, right, like being able to do their communicating.
Yeah, this is how I was taught in Alex's course, so it's worked, so I just stick with it.
Yep, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. I also found the reincarnation thing very interesting. I think as obviously people who love our pets, just, our loved ones that have passed on, I've always been so interested in reincarnation. And when we were doing a little bit of the pet session, we were kind of chatting on it a little bit, but maybe you could go into it for people that I guess want that reassurance from the other side.
Absolutely. So I feel like I have a few stories around this. What really
Um,
got me into it and was like, this is the work I need to do. I was in class and Kayla had facilitated 2 sessions for my dog who was end of life session and then after he had passed. And I had my first 2 dogs, I got them when I was 19. They were King Charles Spaniels. They were like through all of it with me. I lost my first one before all this work and it crushed me. I wasn't well for a long time. I literally felt like I had lost part of my soul, you know. And then with Yoshi, around having these sessions and around having this understanding, like it hurt, but I was okay. And he's here right
yeah.
now, always with me. He's literally
Yeah.
now. Um, and so it once you can fully integrate that truth, and I've done so many sessions with animals that have passed now, it's undeniable to me at this point, which I know you have to have the real experiences yourself to be able to make it real for you.
Right.
But so for me, that's my really personal experience with it. And
Yeah.
still him. He comes in for all my sessions and I help mentor people with Alex and he's always my practice animal. And they actually it was three of my girls. One of my questions was, what is Yoshi doing right now? Like, what's his job in spirit? And all 3 of them came back with like dead on exact same result, is that he's helping orchestrate like pets in spirit, make sure they land with the right person, that they have this soul contract, or who they're supposed to come back.
Yeah.
You have the
Yeah.
animals, you've known them before, you've done many lives before with them. My one other story is I had the most beautiful session with this family. It was a family of 4, and they had 2 smaller dogs. And one of their questions were, we want to know, like, do we have past lives with either any of the dogs? And it was the husband came up for one of the dogs, and it came up that he had had that same dog as a boy, as a young boy in this same life, and they had a tragic ending. The man, it was a farming accident, and the man was he was doing machinery, and the dog, lost a leg and had to transition. So he's held a lot of guilt around that. And his current dog had a hard beginning of his life and was really untrusting to men, had been abused by a man. And so this man helped facilitate healing for this dog. So what all came forward was it was this complete full circle moment of him realizing that he healed this dog he felt so much guilt for. So he was able to let go of all this guilt from this childhood dog, realizing that this dog came back and he was able to heal him now. So we come in and we learn lessons and repeating themes, and yeah, it's really beautiful to have the awareness of the story just keeps going and going and evolving.
It's it's so beautiful and amazing, and I love that they were able to heal each other. And I think that's like my belief too, and what past lives are, and connecting and going forward with each other kind of through time, right? This is my husband's story, but we kind of did this together, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing it today. But we've done a couple of past life regressions together, my husband and I, and we did one this one was maybe like a year or so ago. And what maybe a year or so, maybe even 2 years ago, who knows. But we did the past life thing, and my husband had this like very intense like past life vision of him being kind of somewhere in South America and being like one of a bunch of children in like a wealthier family at that time, like in like a very very ancient time. And like he could see what clothes he was wearing, and he had like a pet jaguar with him. And I remember him when we came out of our experience, like the regression, he asked the facilitator, was like, can can we like have like a guide that's currently with us right now? And she's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So he had the vision, like he connected that our dog Claire right now was that jaguar from a past life. And then when we looked at like we tried to, I totally forget what like time period this was, so forgive me, but we look like he was like, I remember the clothes, and we looked up the type of clothes, and that was like and we're not experts in the historical past like that. And yeah, so it was kind of funny that and my dog Claire, she's 100 pound Newfoundland, so it's funny, she's still a big animal, I guess. Yeah.
It's cool how they can come in as different species too. Lots of times there will be like a theme, or like an animal's more comfortable being a dog or a cat. You know, I've had one dog who's like, this is my first incarnation as a dog and it feels a little goofy. So we kind of talked through some dog stuff, but
Oh,
I
that's
totally,
so funny.
it's, yeah, that's really cool. I had like full goosebumps when you were telling that story.
Hi, wild ones. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. This episode is brought to you by my clothing brand FemmeSauvage, and I'm going to link that in the description below, along with a little discount code for you. Be sure to check it out. We also donate $5 with each of our animal designs towards specific charities. I will also have those in the description below. And enjoy the rest of the episode. Thanks so much for listening. Oh, cool. Yeah, I did too. And we were like, because we went out to dinner afterwards, it was really nice. And then we were kind of able to bounce our, our past lives on back and forth with each other. I feel like sometimes it's hard for me for my past lives to always come through. Like, I do have a lot of connections, I feel like, to ancient, like, societies, like always being kind of like barefoot. But, I think it's hard to really like let go of my mind. I definitely think I have a past connection with my other dog, Watson. I call him my soul dog. He's my 13-year-old mini Australian Shepherd. But I have this like vibe that he's actually my bunny from when I was younger, called Thumper, because I was able to hold them. I kind of held them both, like, or I hold him the same way that I used to hold my bunny Thumper on their backs like babies, and they
Yeah,
both let me do it. So yeah,
very likely. I would have to ask,
very,
but
yeah,
very,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And you're connecting into the dog. Like if I was to connect into your dog itself and say, hey, Ruth Ember, lots of times they won't totally have an awareness. But then if I go up to their higher self, there's a process. I go up to my higher self, up to their higher self, and we kind of connect up there. And then I get
yeah.
a lot of information when it comes to like past stuff.
Right. Because it's interesting, right, that our higher selves obviously remember all of those lives and everything like that. And then our current selves and our souls can't always remember the past. So I feel like it's an interesting connection that I always find. And I saw you're doing a course on connecting to your higher self too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you about that. I feel like, a lot of this, like, what I've been talking about, like finding your wild, like finding your own inner self, I think like really aligns with like also finding like your higher self, for like maybe not everybody that is like, oh, like whatever. Like sometimes people think it's like woo woo or whatever, but I do think that just like, connecting to what your true self is, like whether you call it your higher self, your inner wild, or something like that. Um, like without like obviously you're having a whole course on it, but like what are some ways that like maybe like you recommend to like either notice or how to connect with your higher self?
Um, Really all it is when you say you're out and you get like a gut instinct about something, that's like a little download from your higher self. Or if you have
Mm.
it comes through that you're like, I really have like a bad feeling I shouldn't do this. Or like when I looked at Alex's course and I was like, I have to do this, sometimes you'll
Yeah.
just, that's that connection just being so forceful because you're maybe not as aware, as open. Um, the way you connect is just in silence and in meditation and stillness. And if you like meditation and breath work, you can get your mind more like the theta brainwave state, which is the same as when you first wake up in the morning. So
Mhm.
if you were to pick any time in the day to try and connect, it would be right when you wake up or right before bed, but still right when you wake up is better. And what I always tell people when you're first trying to like meet your angel friends or guides, higher self, it's all the same. First thing in the morning, just wake up, be in that stillness. Don't pick up your phone, don't do anything. And I just started by saying like, hi, good morning to my guides, to myself. And then slowly I would start to feel these energies plunk in the room. I could tell where they were. It was just kind of a cylinder, like there wasn't details or anything. And then you just build on it. It's not necessarily like, boom, okay, I'm connected. It's kind of a lifestyle shift of
Mhm.
looking towards and um, slowing down. Like our world, we're on our phone, we're driving here, we're so busy and we're so in our mind that if you can kind of sink down into your heart space and calm down and look inwards, it's a lot easier to go up then.
Mm. I love that. I like really resonate with that. I feel like that's a really great way to be able to access that, and like I feel like you explained that really like really good. There was another woman that I had on. She's an author and a rewilding facilitator. Her name's Vanessa Chakor, and so she also talks about kind of like connecting with the senses, and in a way that's like obviously like connecting more with nature, but I think they kind of go hand in hand in this way, like being able to like sit out in nature and then like noticing like your five senses to be able to like kind of get into your body more, like noticing the sounds, like your breath. And I'm sure you can probably agree that that's also an easier way to kind of like calm yourself and like access that wavelength too.
Totally. And one thing going into meditation, sometimes if you listen, but then you turn it into not associating the sound with anything, because normally I'm like, oh, I hear that noise, that's my dog snoring. Or normally, and then you switch it to I'm just hearing a sound, and there's no connection there. And then also with your eyes, kind of a visual trick to go into a little bit of trance state, like a light trance state is what you're trying to get. If you look at the wall across from you, you can try it right now. Look at the wall directly from you and go up a little bit as high as comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And try and look with like the peripherals of your eyes.
Hmm.
And for me, I immediately feel my gaze soften.
I can, yeah, yeah.
It takes practice.
Yeah, it's also it might look a little weird because my light's over here too, so that's like extra light in my eye. But I could see how it's not like I could feel the difference. Yeah.
And two, when interpreting information, psychically or telepathically, it's through your five senses. There's the matching clairs for all of it, but when I receive information, I'm very kinesthetic, so I'll feel it in my body. If an animal has an injury, their right arm hurts, like my right arm will literally feel achy or have a
Mhm.
sharp, whatever their pain is. And then it comes with kind of this knowingness. Like I'll just know what happened rather than seeing a sentence or something. But if I get a visual, your mind's eye space, like I get a lot of visuals in that space. If I was to
Yeah.
say, think of a purple cow, wherever that goes for you is your mind.
Right.
So they'll like send me visuals in there. Um, some people are really auditory where they'll hear things. I hear things sometimes. It'll be like a bird song or like wind chimes, but I don't hear like running sentences like some people do. Um,
Right.
so we each have our own, five cents that's our strongest one. And if you really lean into that, then the other ones just kind of kick on.
Mm. Yeah, because that's like another thing I find so fascinating too is like, and how to like kind of cut out like, because I feel like sometimes if I get like, I feel like I tend to get more clear visuals, like the mind's eye thing, or I'll get like the clear audience. Like I'll like a phrase will just pop into my head and I'll be like, is that my thought or is that somebody like connecting with me? And then, I'll have to get like another sign or something else to like verify that, okay, that was the message. Got it.
Yeah, it's tricky because it is such a like a fine line you're threading between what it feels like to have your own thought versus like having the thought come in. It's really like about trusting it because we can all do this. We all come into the world being able to do this. And my example always with telepathy, you're driving in your car and you're all of a sudden your friend pops in your mind so strongly, and then you get home and you like have a message from that friend and you're like, oh my gosh, what a coincidence, but not really. They energetically pinged at you,
Right.
it up.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like how they did the study of like dogs knowing that their humans are coming home too. And like they're so far away. It's like there's no possible way they can hear them. Um I mean, don't quote me on that, but on the scientific study at least. But they know when you're coming home. Like my husband will be home. He'll have no idea when I'm actually like pulling up, and the dogs will be already ready for me. They just have that knowing, that connection to us. They know when we're coming home.
They're the masters. Even to like one of my dogs, or Yoshi, who I was talking about, who passed,
Yeah.
think about going for a walk, he would immediately, and I'm like, I didn't even get my shoes on, I didn't get my shades, I didn't get the leash, like nothing. All I had
Right.
to get, and he'd be raring to go. So there's
Yeah.
those obvious signs along the way. Our society just kind of discredits it, or it's woo woo or whatever. But we're all doing
Exactly. Yeah, but you know what? Like for people that do think it's like, woo woo or whatever is there are some things that like you just can't explain. Like there's some things about energy that I think we have not fully discovered yet, and like feeling and energy and intuition and how all of those things play such a huge role in our inner selves too.
Yeah, we come in a lot more in tune with it. Like kids, you think about kids who are prodigies and they remember how to do all these amazing things. Well, they're just remembering past life stuff. Or, there's
Yeah.
that one kid who remembered where his plane crashed. I can't remember all the details. One kid knew,
I remember that one. Yeah.
and it was like all these historical things that you could verify that he would have no way of knowing. It's like he remembered.
Yeah. Right.
There's 7 or 8, there's a bit of a second veiling where you kind of tip into your conscious mind rather than the unconscious mind, and that's where animals and kids more function on. Um,
Right.
but yeah, we
Yeah.
feel pretty connected.
Yeah. Another question I have for you is like how like your one friend whose dog passed away and is now a dolphin now. How like is there any way like to know like how they choose the next path, or like how do they do that, you know?
Like, how do they choose which body to reincarnate as?
Yeah, like do they know that like I guess what you said before, like some dogs like being dogs, but to change from a dog to a dolphin, that's interesting, like interesting path to go to water now when being a land animal.
Yeah, they did live in Florida, so the
Okay.
ball dog was always very like aware of dolphins. So my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense."
Oh,
But
cool.
Lots of times we all come in with a purpose, a journey, a mission, and it can be facilitated in different ways. So just depending on kind of what you're coming in trying to do this round, it might be a wild animal, it might be a house pet, it might be coming in for somebody, I
Right.
think thing I've heard from the animals, it's more about what are they coming in to do this time? What are they coming to, what's their purpose this round?
Yeah. Is that similar to us as humans? Like, can we choose to be animals if we wanted to too?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We
It's
can,
like, yeah.
there,
Sorry.
the animal that I hear is horses. Horses, almost all, I'm not going to say almost all, there are a lot of horses that have been humans.
Oh, I feel like that makes so much sense. Like, they're so intelligent. Oh, hi, buddy.
Yeah.
He wants to be included. Good conversation, right, bud?
Yeah, which too changes your perspective when you look at how all these horses are treated. And, it's like if everybody had that belief of we're not superior, we're no different, even we've been there, we've done that. Think how much more like care. The more I do this,
Mhm.
and the type like, oh, I can't kill the spider, kill the fly, but now I'm like worried about the weed I'm pulling out of the garden. It just kind of keeps going and going. The
Right. Yeah.
and like connection to all of it.
Yeah, I love that so much, and I feel like the that's so important to be able to highlight, and I think that's like one of the things I'm hoping to like, just share with this podcast is that, however way you look at them, I think that I love the kind of like picture online where it's like eco over ego, and it's like, you're one with the animals, because I don't know, I feel like this is like something that's like always been in my heart, but that taking care of animals, especially like the innocents, like children and animals, and um like that's a spiritual quest, because they're so innocent, like they don't like necessarily know any better, like it's our job. I think that like the more that like we're like, higher beings and able to like control ourselves, or like, just know right from wrong and like things like that, like I just think we have a responsibility to be able to care for these animals and speak on their behalf. And like you said, just I think if we did view them, oh, this could be a person that I connected with in a past life, and it's again that, you know eco over ego. And I think that we were put here like with animals and like all these other beings. I think that sometimes there's like some things in religion, like I remember I grew up Catholic, and I remember being in theology class and my teacher said, yeah, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but animals don't have souls. And I just remember getting so angry, and I was like, no, bitch, that's not fucking true. Sorry. I just like something in my very soul like revolted at that thought. And I think that the more I go through life, the more I realize how untrue that really is.
And that's like not even, that used to be a lot more prevalent of just like the belief around animals. I grew up in Texas 30 years ago and we were vegetarian, and so I was like ostracized because I didn't eat meat, and they're all like animals. Yeah, nobody thought animals had souls or that there was anything going
No.
on. And now I think people are waking up a bit around it, but there's levels of it for sure.
Yeah. I was just interviewing one of my last guests. Her name is Rachel Tilseth, and she's has a documentary coming out called People and Wolves: A Story of Coexistence. And we've talked about this, recognizing like the animal as an individual, which I think kind of goes into this as well. And I think that the more we recognize like the spirit of the animal, and like she kind of talks about also that like the I don't know, the spirit of the wolf kind of was like, she's like, I don't know if I really thought of myself as wanting to stick up, but the more I connected with them and like saw them as individuals, the more I could, be like, okay, I actually feel like I really do have to stick up for them and protect their species too. So I think it really goes hand in hand. Like, to me, at least, I see that pretty clearly about being spiritually connected and then tying into just like recognizing the spirit of like that animal and how it calls to certain people to help protect them too.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of brings up to mind for me, there's an element of like every animal having their own individual personality. And then also that species has this one consciousness that you can tune into. Like when I talk to
Mhm.
Geek, they're very one consciousness minded. They all do have individuality, but they're really strong in their one consciousness. And, wolves, if you're, so, you can think of it two ways. Like, am I connecting to just the wolf consciousness and as a whole, or the individuals make them seem more in our earthly bodies? They have more of a personality. You're like, yeah, there's really something going on in every single one of those. And then in the spiritual sense, if you kind of feel into the oneness of all of them, and we're all drawn to different animals, they have different frequencies, different jobs. Like you talk to whales or ants, they both have really, really important roles to play energetically in the ecosystem, but they're doing different things. So different people are going to align with them.
Yeah, I feel like that makes so much sense too. Like, some people are just ocean people, they connect with the water more. Some people love bugs or insects or reptiles. Like, it is cool how they just like connect with that, but I think it's also really unique. Like, everybody's really unique, like kind of like how animals have their own unique importance in the ecosystem and their vital, like, their vital importance there, and then also how humans are drawn to certain things. Like, we need so many different things in a society to be able to come together and um just be helpful to one another. I think people need that spiritual aspect. I think that's really ancient in us too. Like, going back to just like, our prehistoric ancestors and selves, we were always connected to the land and nature. And I think like kind of rewilding ourselves and also like getting to know ourselves and then also helping like recognize, okay, you know what, that your role is important in society, but so is mine. Right. So
I love that. Totally.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you too about more about like the I saw one of your posts recently talking about like the Akashic records. My stepmom and I like talk about that a lot, and at first like I thought it was a physical place when she was talking about it, like in the east, and she's like, oh yeah, they just go and pick a scroll, but it's like up there. It's like
Yeah.
a spiritual access, not a physical access. So for people that don't know, you want to explain it a little bit more?
So the Akashic Records is basically just a database of, so we each have our own personal one that you can kind of tap into. And every past life, everything of yours is in there. And so some people offer services where they connect into other people's. And the more I do this work, I've kind of realized that once you connect to your higher self super strongly and you just have that access into other dimensions, being able to do other things, you can do all of it. I feel like it's so, like somebody has the tools to do the Akashic Records and somebody has the tools to do this. I don't think so. I think if you set the intention of like, I'm going to do that, set the intention, I'm going to do that too. I haven't not been able to do something yet. So that's in my mind, like I just keep
Yeah.
trying and it keeps working. So I'm like, all
Yeah.
you have tuned in and you can do, anybody could do it. And there's just kind of a visualization process for me too. I go in, I go up, and I, have a guardian and a sacred door, and mine kind of looks like a library because, of course, it does. And, your ancient scrolls.
Right. Yeah.
And just ask information about anything in your past, really. It's just a database of knowledge.
Yeah. And like you said, you usually get it in like a feeling or a knowing or like that mind space where you feel like that's validated for you and you're getting all that information from when you're connecting.
Yeah, it's the way I receive information at this point, whether it's an animal, a plant or tree, guides, astral projection, like it all just kind of comes through the same way for me now.
Yeah. I love that. That's so cool. Um and then also like your higher self, like I think like for people trying to connect that way, like how do you, like I think that's also sometimes very hard for me. How do you know you're connecting with your higher self? Is that like a total energy feel, or
Um,
I don't
it
know if if I asked that correctly. Like is that something you have to like feel in order to know you're connecting with it?
You don't have to feel it literally. You might, if you're
Okay.
kinesthetic, you feel it. You might get tingles, you might get warm, but not everybody's going to. You know what it That's what I'm saying. It's more of a long process, and you'll get to the point where you trust it. Like, there'll be synchronicities all of a sudden that pop up. Like, you'll get a download from your higher self about something, and then, oh my God, the next day it happened. And you're like, wow. You can ask for signs, you can ask for um, guidance, start with basic stuff like, hey, what should I do this weekend? And then talk about it. And like maybe something pops up this weekend that you're like, oh my gosh, that was what we were talking about. Make
Yeah.
it like when you first meet your guides, it's not serious. It's not like proper, almost like, hey, homies, how's it going? What's up?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
They're friends, and your higher self is just the rest of you. It's not something separate. We come down into this meat suit container. That's just the rest of us that remembers everything. So it's all you, um, without all these filters. So for me, if I'm first going into stuff, like if somebody was to first connect to their higher self, say, and they did this meditation and they were really in the zone, and you can visualize, a tunnel going up from your head up and connecting to your higher self. It can be a golden goddess, it could be a white orb, it could be whatever, however they want to present. And if you feel a genuine connection, your heart's probably going to feel something. You might get emotional, you might want to cry. You'll feel something bigger than yourself. It'll feel spiritual. It'll feel like, even in church, people have these really spiritual moments. We're all connecting into different things. We have our different labels for it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I just feel like if you're doing it, you'll know. You'll
Yeah.
feel art space. Like, wow, there's this like just unconditional love coming through, because that's what it'll be.
Yeah. That's so beautiful too. Yeah. I feel like, and I'm sure once that door is open, I'm sure it's easier to connect, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
all day kind of like like walking through life. I'm like, who's talking about? Who said that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's greater than
Oh,
life. There's so many YouTube, like Spotify, Insight Timer, YouTube. You can go on and just say, type in a meditation to meet a guide, meet your higher self. Just start doing that kind of stuff. If you set your intention towards it and you are in that space enough, it happens. It just kicks on.
yeah, like reaching out to the universe. I actually used to do that all the time. For me, my way, for some reason, just my way of easily connecting, or I guess it makes sense now, is that I would always, my bath isn't the best right now. But in my old apartment, I would take baths all the time, especially during COVID. And something about being in water really made sense. I'm a Scorpio too. So that's why I'm like, oh, I don't know why, but now I know why. That makes sense. Because like Scorpio is a water sign, so I think being in the water, and then I had I turned the lights off and I would have the meditation going. Something about that really opened the line for me. So
For
I wanted, oh sorry.
I totally agree. For me, water too is like my close friends all joke with me. I shower every day. That's how I like clear myself of anything I want to clear. And when I first started with mediumship, that's like when I was super open for that. So like I have, ET friends, I have mediumship. They all come to me at first in the shower, and they're like all my friends just joke about my shower dynamic. But yes, the water, it's a thing for sure.
Well, I think that also makes sense about like maybe getting downloads in the shower. People are like, my best ideas come in the shower. So we're
Yeah,
beings of water, connecting to the water. And then I feel like a lot of people probably have that open space when they're in the shower because they're relaxing. So that makes so much sense.
you're slowing down. It's facilitating calmness for you. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's true. Lots of times people will say, like, oh, this genius thought just popped in my head. But it might have been your higher self, just like boop. A lot of the
Right.
times we flow through life without knowing how much support we have. I can back on my life and I can see all the support and all the downloads and all the drop ins now, where at the time I was oblivious, but it was happening the whole time.
Right. Right. It's just if you want to open your eyes to it and notice it, right? Yeah. I know we're getting like close to the end of our call, but before we go, I have another good question for you is when you're talking to and communicating with pets and with animal spirits, what do you find that there's like a underlying message that they usually want their owners or people connecting with them to know?
Yeah. If we're going to talk about animals that have crossed, they always just want their owners to feel their connection again and know that they're okay where they are. That's a big one for a lot of people because it's a lot of people don't fully trust that when they cross that they're still around. So they'll send signs that, the owner will be like, "Oh my gosh, that just happened." Or dogs mostly want their people to be okay. No matter what the conversation is even about, the dogs are always like, "How's mom doing? How's dad doing?" They always flip it back. Usually I'll come and be like, "How's your body feeling? How are you doing?" They're like, "How are they feeling about it though?" So
Oh,
dogs are our greatest teachers and companions, but it
yeah.
really is. I feel like honestly there's not like a super solid theme. Every session is so different. You just kind of never know what you're gonna get. If anything, the main thread for me is they all function on unconditional love. Like they are all functioning from that state. So the way they react to things is from that place. There's never judgment. I've never had
Yeah.
any animal say like, "Oh, my owner doesn't do this," with judgment. Not once. They don't come at it like that. And even if something bad has happened, usually they'll blame themselves about it. They don't
Oh,
blame the outside world. Not always, but um
sure. Right.
yeah, so it's more the perspective that they all come from would be the theme, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. Because I feel like animals really are like that. Animals just, I kind of like what I was saying before, like they're just that innocent spirit along with like children, like they just have this like spiritual wholeness when I look at them.
Huh.
That I feel like is why I don't know, I'm always drawn more to like animals and kids, like they're just energetic and spirit, and I feel like especially having my son, like um you know I just feel like that is for me like where the focus is, so yeah.
I can relate. I've got two girls, and when you look at these young kids, it's you just feel it in your heart.
Yeah, and then like to be able to have them and connect with animals like how I did when I was younger. Um there's something like so pure and beautiful and connecting about that I'm sure you as a mama is also loves to be able to like surround them with these kind of beautiful animal spirits that are also looking out for them too.
It's really cool to be able to be a mom with this viewpoint. I always tell them my beliefs, and then I tell them how a lot of other people believe, so they know going into the world, everybody might not believe this, but this is what we feel. But they've surprised me. Like they'll take things that I present to them, and they'll take it a step further, and it's just like it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, because they have that, I guess because they're younger than us, they have that connection, probably, a little bit easier, or, didn't have to work as hard as us as adults to be able to re-access that
They're so
again. Yeah. Emily, thank you so much for coming on, and I had such a lovely chat with you, and thank you so much for connecting me and Raph, and I feel like you really helped us a lot as well. Tell people, oh, sorry, that's Claire. Again, tell people where they can find you, connect with you, and everything like that.
Well, first of all, just thank you so much for having me on. It's been so nice. Like both times I've connected with you, it just feels really magical. So thank you for having me here.
Oh, thanks so much. I really enjoyed it.
Probably Instagram. It's just my full name. I don't know if that'll be on somewhere on here. It's a mouth.
Yeah, I'll make sure to link your Instagram and everything below so people can easily just click and find you.
Because then I have my like Calendly booking link on my Instagram bio. If you click that, I have an email in there. So if you start there, you can kind of find some other threads
Great.
for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we can connect again in the future. I feel like we didn't talk about a bunch of other stuff too, but there's only so much time, right, in a day. But I would love to have you back on eventually at some point. And I hope everybody listening enjoyed this conversation. And I'm so excited to catch you on the next one. So have a lovely day. Bye, wild ones.
Revel in the moment like a river flowing to the sea.